Recording in progress. It's time to record the show.
Cinnamon, episode
79.
7999. The last episode, as we close out the year in our Davidson 2022.
Thank you for
Us.
continuing that sentence. I got I stopped breathing for a minute. This is the last episode of 2022.
Okay, okay. I assume that
So
whatever the
wait
last
until
episode is, we will have discussed that off air previously. Um, or I'll just pull it on you. This is our third annual, I
Thomas
do
Manning.
believe. Our third annual top 10 as of this moment, 2022. We're going to be talking about our top 10 that have come out from calendar year, January to December. Man, we do it every year. It's one of my favorite things to do right here on this show. It's me, one of your hosts, Seed, and I'm joined, as always, by the loquacious Mr. Douglas Davison. How are you doing today, sir?
Fucking terrified.
Just
I can't
movies, they
tell what's
can't hurt
happening. Is
you.
this the last show? Is this the last show of the year? What's going on?
Of the year, yes. Last show ever, no. Although we will be taking ourselves a bit of a break after this here episode.
A long dirt. Wait, no. Nap.
Just a regular nap.
Just a regular nap.
Not a long dirt one. Not today, anyways. Not
That's
today, God of Death. Yeah, man, we're just be talking about our 10 movies, man. But you mentioned right before we pressed the big red button, Babylon. We have both seen it. Felt like it is a discuss-worthy movie. So before we get into our rigmarole here, what's your thoughts on Babylon, sir?
Uh, in all seriousness, and again, we were talking about this before we began recording. Babylon, Damien Chazelle's movie. For those of you that aren't aware, he's the writer director La La Land, Whiplash. I believe there was a First Man.
Yes.
He's got some incredible ideas, and at least in our house, we don't always love his movies. I think Crystal's subtitle for Whiplash is more interesting as a descriptor than the movie itself. Sociopath's a love story.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but La La Land is incredible. First Man is art, is the best way to describe it. Just top down, from performances to cinematography, direction, and just the execution. But Babylon is it's a wild thing to watch. It is a ride. It is full of a lot of ideas. It takes some real world history to create a historical fiction of three different individuals on a different trip through about a decade, maybe decade and a half, trying to make it in Hollywood or keep it in Hollywood. And it is gross at times in terms of various bodily fluids from both human and mammal. Well, we're all mammals.
Yes, yes.
We're all mammals.
I
We're
was gonna
various
let that one
mammals,
go.
Bob. Yeah. Well, yeah, but eventually Crystal will listen to this and she'll slap me with something. We're all mammals. Um, but
I've
it
got
is
nibbles. You want to milk me, Greg?
no, no, I no. Um, but it's the kind of movie where like it blows your socks off when it begins,
Mhm.
and it becomes a little difficult to hold on to that. And because of what it does with the historical fiction, I feel like it does a little too much, that it's almost disrespectful to the individuals that were part of the real stories. For example, for those of you listening, without getting into too much spoilers, the reason why Margot Robbie's character gets on stage in the first place is because someone can't make it to stage.
Yes.
And the person that it is, and the person that was involved with the reason why they can't get to stage, is based on a real story, a
Yeah,
very
yeah,
real story.
yeah, 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 yeah.
And so using that is a little icky, even if at the same time it is an accurate depiction of 1920s Hollywood. And it's also a pretty honest depiction of right now Hollywood, in terms of people of all ages, of all ethnicities, trying to go somewhere to become a star. And how well do they go about doing that? So it's a fucking compelling watch. It's not always easy. It's not always engaging. And There's certain cast members that I would be fine if I never saw them on screen again, not because of this movie, but just because they're absolute shitbags. But Margot Robbie is fantastic. The other lead, I don't have his name in front of me.
Brad Pitt,
Um, no,
Diego
no,
Calva,
not him, not him. The other lead.
Diego Calva.
Thank you. Like I said, I wasn't fully prepared to talk about this, so I didn't have his name in front of me. He's incredible, and he carries the movie really. Um,
Hmm.
for us, I think. He is literally our way into this adventure, and he is the last person we see on the way out. I find it incredibly moving. And for someone who loves movies about the making of movies, it was hard not to enjoy myself. But it is often described as the anti La La Land. And considering there's a lot of the score that feels ripped from La La Land, but with some of the notes changed, feels very appropriate as a descriptor. That La La Land is very hopeful and reaching for your dreams and someone in the crowd. Well, someone in the crowd happens in Babylon, and that's how Margot Robbie gets on stage. But
Mm-hmm.
it's the how the something in the someone in the crowd, who that person is, and what led up to that. That's really kind of nasty. And so it's a version of Hollywood that folks unfamiliar with the pre-code era, with how Hollywood's history, it may be sort of ripping a band-aid off. It may be uncomfortable for a lot of folks. There's a lot of reasons to like this movie and a lot of reasons to dislike this movie. It compels me. I
Yeah,
feel
yeah.
compelled. I am compelled.
You are
Am I
compelled.
am I compelled? I am compelled.
You sound like you're compelled.
I'm compelled.
I agree with chunks of what you said. Yeah, it starts off wild and then it loses that momentum. Um, I feel like and the wildness, it starts off with partying. Partying is very much at the forefront of this as it was at the back in those types of days.
Mhm.
I feel like other movies did the partying better. Technically, great, but even just the partying felt empty to me. Like I said in my review, like Wolf of Wall Street, you see all this wild chaos going on, but Scorsese always remembers to remind the audience that they are partying with money that they have fraudulently pilfered from these people. So it's got that taint with it. And then with like Baz Luhrmann's Gatsby, they're partying to try to fill something empty within themselves. Uh, Here, there's just nothing like that. It's just partying for partying's sake, but I felt kind of weak. Well done. Very, very well done. But once that all gets out of the way, because that's pretty much a good chunk of the first act, once that is all said and done, then it just kind of falls into a rote standard story we've seen a million different times. I do think Diego Calva's character is interesting because he's trying to break into Hollywood unconventionally. Most times it's I want to be a star and act. No, this is the dude who wants to be behind the camera. And it's not often that you see a story, any kind of Hollywood story of someone trying to make it behind the camera. Most of the time, it's I want to be that front and center. Looking at you, Pearl. Uh, I think
I'm a star. I'm a star.
Giovanna Depo, that dude got hamstrung real hard in this movie as the trumpet player. I think he has possibly the best narrative arc in the entire movie. And 90% of that narrative arc happens off screen, which is sad. He gets like one really great scene, and there was more there that we don't get. I do enjoy the what I have now dubbed the Boogie Night scene with Toby Maguire filling that Alfred Molina role. It's
Begins with an asshole, almost ends with an asshole.
it's so good. He's just there for a Douglas Davidson cup of coffee,
Mhm.
and he
Methamphetamine filled cup of coffee.
what he does with his time is just absolutely wonderful. There's stuff to like about it. There's stuff to not like about it. Like we said before we hit record, both movies that were like but we kind of want to rewatch again, give it a reevaluation. But technically
Despite
great. The story itself I thought was kind of weak.
I'm hoping that despite the box office, Paramount puts this out, that there will be bonus features getting into it a little bit. I'd be very curious about some of that. If some of the on location shooting was significant to the story, and how so, if they explore that history. Quite. I was making a joke about the movie starting and ending with an asshole. It kind of does, but uh, Tobey Maguire's character goes somewhere, and that set reminded me of Brick and where the body is found.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of hoping that I'm sure that there's all sorts of tunnels and whatever in the LA area. We've seen them in different parts of cinema history. But I am kind of curious if it does that. And I feel bad because I feel badly for Chazelle because this is a film with a great cast. It's got big swings and it's not making any money, which is bad for non IP. It's bad for non sequels, non franchises, because Paramount's not exactly the sort to so far just lean on their franchises. But if I were to pull up their website, I guarantee you we're going to see stuff that's like Sonic 2, Mission Impossible, da 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 da, Transformers. It's going to be a whole lot of franchise stuff. Where's the original? So I'm a little bummed about that.
Can't see it. The 3 hours and 6 minutes, I think is what this was.
Something like that.
Didn't need to be at all. Over bloated is what I would call this movie. Maybe you cut out some of that partying in the first act and cut to the chase. Just don't touch anything with the Tobey Maguire stuff. But yeah. Go ahead and check that out in theaters if you have. Yeah, go ahead and check that out in theaters if you haven't. It's a good old fun time at parts.
I felt really bad reading some of the comments online because apparently at some screenings there was like a welcome from some of the cast and was thanks for coming and seeing this with a group of people, and they're like, we were the only ones in the theater. So it's a little awkward in that sense. The cast, the creators, they obviously didn't envision it to hit as hard as it did, but not everybody's going to the theater. Not everybody's going to theater several times, and Avatar just came out, and that's gonna, like, so many films are fighting for box office right around Christmas. Puss in Boots just came out, Avatar came out. So you got these sequels. Again, sequels are covering up everything. Women Talking just got a limited release, and that was smart. That was smart, giving it that limited release, and it'll slowly expand into the new year. That's a hell of a film too, but it would get decimated if it had gone wide right now.
Right,
And
correct. They had to
that's
get it out there
that's
theatrical for Oscar reasons, and now they'll be able to expand wide if they do it smartly as we get this run up to the Oscars. Then run it wide and then get that word of mouth on them.
yeah, yeah. Women Talking, I think, is a slower release. It's like one or two more release dates between now and like mid-January or something.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Anyway,
Boom, boom, boom.
anyway.
Anyway, we're here to talk about our top tens.
Yes. And
Uh,
as Daryl likes to say, everybody knows all of mine. So Daryl's is the one that's all the big secret. Ooh, secret movies.
one of us must make for the entertainment for this show.
Yeah, but why does it always have to be me?
We have our established roles here, Douglas.
Oh, right. Sorry. I'll go back to my corner.
Do you want to kick it off with your number 10 there, sir?
Sure. Since for those of you that aren't aware, I maintain a letterbox account, and at the start of every year, I create a favorites list so that I can better keep track of what movies not only have I seen, but which ones throughout the year have made an impact on me. And in my number 10 spot is a film that I saw. Shit, I think it was not. Yeah, it was March. Yeah, I don't even remember it being a festival release. I think I just saw it when it hit HBO. But it's a documentary by Sam Jones, Tony Hawk Until the Wheels Fall Off. I believe it's still streaming on HBO Max now if you haven't seen it.
Get there
I
before
am not a
Zaslav
skater
takes it
boy.
off.
What's that?
I said, get there before Zaslav takes it off.
Yeah, right. That's actually a very good point. Um, Tony Hawk. I'm not a skater boy. It's no, just no. I can't even play Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
The
Okay.
reason I failed college.
Yeah, I'm more of an SSX person, and that's because you have to be downhill. So there's already momentum. With Tony Hawk, you have to create momentum, and that's when I'd fall off.
Terrible.
Except for whatever game had the whatever commercial. I tell you whatever.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that game I was good at. The rest of them fucking suck. But I at least knew who Tony Hawk was from appearances on television and movies, Gleaming the Cube being one of them, and a few other things. So watching this documentary, I was fucking locked in. It is engaging. It is dramatic. It doesn't delve into a whole lot of his personal life, though that is significant to where he is now in terms of his relationship with his children and his ex-wife and his current wife. But you really get a sense of the skating world in a way that, particularly if you're not part of that world, you would not have otherwise. And even though it's a little over 2 hours, and I was kind of like, really, is this? Do I really want to invest this much time with Tony Hawk? When he is doing his signature move, which at the moment my brain can't remember, but when he's doing the
The
900, there we go.
900.
I was sitting there like, fuck, because he's doing it over and over and over, and nobody's quitting until he nails it. And when he does, and I knew he nailed it, but I'm still like, fuck yeah, like literally my arms were up in the air. I'm in my fucking office by myself, but I was sucked in.
I saw that when it happened, man. I saw that when it happened. It was wild business. That's a memory that will stick with me.
Yeah. So, and I think that Sam Jones captures that well with the archive footage that he uses here. And it is a mixture of archive footage. It is Santa Talking Head interviews with Hawk, and of course, the rest of the skaters that he sort of came up with. So if you're a fan at all of skating, of Tony Hawk, make sure to check this documentary out. Or if you're just remotely curious, it's got a little something for everybody.
A little something for everybody. Nice. That's one that I'd heard about, and I was like, oh shit, yeah, I gotta check that out. And I just never got to it because Tony Hawk was my dude. He's funny as fuck on Twitter. He's worth the follow. He's a worthwhile dude, man. I need to check that out myself. Good call for your number 10, sir.
I think.
My number 10. Man, it was iffy, man, between my 10 and 11. But the Northman won out for my number 10.
I'm judging
I
you
came
from
to it
this
by
moment on.
Judging
you.
Came to it by completely conventional means. The Northman. I directed by Bobby Eggs, of course. I am a fan of his. I'm a fan of the work he's done so far. The Northman being no exception. I didn't know fully what to expect coming in, but I like it more every time I watch it. There's still a couple of things that don't quite click for me or don't quite work as well for me, which is why it's down to 10. But if you are unfamiliar with the Northman, it is the story that somewhat inspires Shakespeare's Hamlet, good old Willie Shakespeare, about Amleth, a young boy who adores a young prince who adores his king father. Father is betrayed by brother who runs off with wife, his mother, and he spends his youth to his young adult days. At first vowing to seek revenge, and then eventually just falling off that path until he is put back onto that path. And when he's put back onto that path, it's Alexander Skarsgård and his abs out there doing the work, man. Also,
it's always the abs. It's always the abs.
It's always the abs. Anya Taylor-Joy in
He
there
just
as
keeps
well.
getting these jobs just so he can stay in shape. You get the tax write off for the fitness
for the tax write off for his fitness connection, for his Planet Fitness trips. Anya Taylor-Joy is Olga of the Birch Forest, a witch, a sorceress, whatever you would like to call it. There, she's also on her own journey as well. Their paths
She's
cross.
not a witch; she's his wife. Sorry,
that's the thing that doesn't work for me. That relationship just is the thinnest fish shit. It's flimsy as all get out, man. It doesn't do it for me. But man, excellent direction by Eggers. Wonderful cinematography. The story does slow down at parts, but it is still just a good, satisfying watch. And it teaches you the one thing good vengeance films do, which rarely happens in the States. I feel the States, when they happen here in the States, it's more of the, yeah, he got revenge and it's all good. Whereas other places, there's a cost to that vengeance.
Mhm.
And that's a theme that threads throughout this movie, is kind of the futility of this whole thing. Like, he has happiness at his fingertips and actively chooses against said happiness,
Mhm.
much to his detriment. So it's a very interesting movie, man. It made $0 at the box office, unfortunately, but it's still fun as fuck all the way throughout, man. I love that movie. You still
Sarsgaard
haven't seen it,
catching a
have you?
spear, turn around,
Oh, you
throw
have
it.
seen it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
I forget
that's
if you challenged me to it or what. I had it from Netflix, so I was
nothing will ever be as cool in a movie as a guy catching a spear and then chucking it right back at unsuspecting spear thrower.
fuck you. Lost
It
this.
tastes of their own medicine. Yeah, it's nice, man. What is your numero 9?
Number 9 is an animated film that I've talked about on here before.
Doug, you can't put the Mitchells versus the Machines again 2 years in a row.
Hold, please.
Let's see if I
I
can
t-
edit in some old music, some what is that, Muzak?
do, 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 do. It's a little daybreak for my community fans.
There you go.
Anyway, Takayuki Heroes, Pompo the Cinephile.
Ah,
This was
yes.
a film that was released, I think, like festivals and stuff in 2021, but finally hit theaters this year. It's also available on home video. I've talked about it a few times. It is Blu-ray DVD for like 15, 16 bucks. If you get it from Amazon, it's probably a little bit more from Shout Factory. You can rent it in HD for apparently $1.74. Maybe it's $5. I don't know if I've got promotional credits or whatever. But this is a film that is sort of it's the anti-Babylon. It's a movie about filmmaking,
Mm-hmm.
but with sort of an uplifting look at it, about the people that make movies, why they make movies, the beauty of the art of filmmaking. But this isn't just a film about making art with it's not about cinema. The film itself, Pompo herself is a young girl who is a legacy producer. Her grandfather started a production company that's very well known in what is called Nollywood instead of Hollywood, and she runs it. And she knows her film history. She knows her writing. She knows all this stuff. So everybody trusts her to do all these things. And she decides, you know what? I make a lot of action movies and all of these things, but here's a movie I want to see, and she wrote it. And then she has her assistant direct it because he wants to be a director. And she gets a nobody that nobody has ever seen before to be a lead actor because she's looking for someone fresh. And she calls in a favor to get this retired actor who hasn't done anything in 10 years to come out. And when they make the movie, there's just all this synergy. It's not just the director saying, hey, I'm going to do this. It's the cast, hey, what about these ideas? And the production crew and the art director and everybody on set going, what about this idea? And what about this? And just seeing this project come together. But it's not just about that. It's also about the editing process and how the movie comes together in the editing process and how it shapes and changes and grows, and the energy that rises and falls in the editing process, but also sometimes that it costs money. And what happens if you lose the money to make the movie? So it's all of these things in 90 fucking minutes.
uh,
All of it. All of it in
all of
90
it, huh?
minutes. In fact, we talked about this in our episode this year about 90-minute movies. And I put it on here because Pampa makes a point about all good movies are no longer than 90 minutes. And I
Absolutely
shit you
ridiculous
not, that
statement.
gets referenced, cut to credits.
That's one way to end the movie. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
And as far as the animated films I've seen this year, it is, I mean, it's in my top 10. It is one of the best I have seen. It is beautiful, it is playful, it does things that really you can only pull off with this medium. So if you haven't seen it yet, highly recommend it.
Yeah, that's putting together the voting for North Carolina and SEFCA for the
Mm-hmm.
animated category. I was like, Doug keeps talking about Pompo. I need to watch Pompo. And then I went and watched something else instead. Uh,
Did you
uh,
watch Inuo?
I did not. I think when I was sitting at a Choose, I watched Broker. Sorry. Um, Oh, you'll be all right. And so it is
Oh,
still
sure.
on
Watch
my.
another live action movie. There's plenty of those.
There's also plenty of animated movies there. Anyways,
Beautiful.
yeah, that's it is still very much on my list off the strength of your suggestions there. So I will be getting around to it as soon as I can. Good call, sir. My number nine, Wakanda Forever. Black Panther colon Wakanda motherfucking forever. It is Coogler said this is always going to be a story about grief. They just did not suspect what kind of grief they would be dealing with in this movie due to the passing of Chadwick Boseman. And what he managed to create based off of that, I think, elevates this even further for me. He creates a situation was opened to give Shuri the mantle of Black Panther, which is comics accurate anyway, so that still twists and fits to his narrative. And what we get is a story of unprocessed grief and trauma, which is kind of a major sticking point for what Phase 4 has been about, is the grief and processing of grief. And no other movie in the MCU, especially Phase 4, hits on that nerve quite as well as Doctor Strange. I'm sorry, as Wakanda Forever.
I can list some of the Phase 4 movies. They all deal with grief in some way. Shang-Chi, Doctor
Mhm.
Strange.
Yeah,
It's a common theme,
it's a
loss and grief,
very common
reclamation.
thread throughout this reclamation.
Let's
Yes.
abbreviate this moment for just a second and think about Phase 4. No, just kidding. Go, please. Please. Sorry.
I don't understand these people saying that it was an aimless phase, and that it all seemed like it was pretty much on the table right there, and none punctuated better than Wakanda Forever. I don't think the action is as good as it is in Black Panther. I think we have a step down in terms of villains. Compared Killmonger to Namor, but still Namor holds his own. I think he is a good solid villain. Tena Huerta does a great job, and I am very, very excited to see him wherever he should reappear in the MCU. His side job should be trying to steal Sue Storm away from Reed Richards all day long, and I'm here to see.
Have you looked at him? That should be pretty easy.
Yeah, and that seems to be the running gag on Twitter. Like, hey, he's not gonna have to try as hard as he thinks he is. Look at the guy. Then the end of that bulge.
I mean, it's definitely love if you can look at your man and look at him.
Yeah, you go back to your man. Love or
That's love.
foolishness, we'll
That's
never know.
love.
That's real love. We get the introduction, of course, of Ironheart. A lot of great character developments. I think Okoye took a bit of a step back as well, but that step back is kind of in service to Angela Bassett having a step up in this movie. I thought she has a great couple of scene stealing performances. All in all, a solid superhero movie and movie in general. I enjoyed the shit out of Wakanda Forever, and then just Winston Duke just being like the graduating to like the dope uncle award. It's fascinating where they're taking these characters, man, and I can't wait to see what else comes for a third Black Panther movie. Should we get one somewhere down the road?
I wasn't sure how I felt about it when I first watched it, first left the theater. Rewatching it, knowing where the story was going to go, I appreciated it more. My big sticking point is 2 feels like an amalgamation of Civil War and Black Panther, where the similarities are so strong. I couldn't help but be like, we've tread this road before.
Mm-hmm.
And so I struggle with that. But if they make another film, which I hope they do, I enjoy these characters in this world. Maybe that'll change.
Maybe that will change. And yeah, I can see a bit of a Civil War vibe. It is for all intents and purposes, 2 battling ideologies on what to do about this woman who made a vibranium detector. And I still, like I said when we originally talked about it, I think Namor jumping straight to kill her, she gotta go, was a bit harsh, maybe a bit much. Maybe a little
Makes
bit
sense for what he's experienced.
Yeah,
there is no threat if we destroy the threat.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Destroy it before they destroy us, and they will try to destroy us.
And they will try to destroy us. There's definitely Plenty of history to point to that, and I like how Cooler does play with history of, hey, well, we know these motherfuckers are capable of this shit. You know these motherfuckers are capable of this shit. So let's kind of weave that without really specifically saying these motherfuckers are capable of doing this shit. Big fan. What is your number eight, sir?
Number 8 is another documentary. Believe it or not, I'm actually shocked about this. How many documentaries are on my top 10 list? But the way that these were done this year, and particularly another one that's coming up, two more on this list that are coming up, were just so remarkable that I haven't stopped thinking about them. And one of those is this one, Reginald Harkamina, excuse me, the Kids in the Hall comedy punks. They When I watched it, it was one piece. You can watch it as two pieces on Prime Video. For some reason, they split it in half as a part one and a part two. But this is the Kids in the Hall, all five of them, talking about their origin, how they got together, how like two met and then two more met, and how they built up and how they became the kids, and then their rise, their separation, their return. It's really kind of wonderful. And Crystal is a big Kids in the Hall fan. And when we lived in Maryland for a little while I was in school, for her birthday, I took her to see Kids in the Hall.
All right.
And I forget if it was all five of them or not, but afterwards they came out, and I had my shitty little clamshell phone that I tried to take a photo of Crystal with Kevin McDonald. But she got to meet them. We've got a signed 40 Helens Agree t-shirt. you know
Possibly
uh
the best to come out of Kids in the Hall is the 40 Helens Agree.
I tried to get into them. Their show would be on Comedy Central, and I liked it, but it wasn't my sense of humor. So there's stuff that I knew but didn't know, and Crystal's tried to get me to watch more of them. If you watch the new season, she has told me, warning, there's full frontal. If you ever want to know how each of the members are cut,
Hey, there
you'll
you
now be able
go.
to answer that
There you
question. You'll be
go.
able to tell which ones are Jewish. But what was particularly fascinating is I wasn't aware of Scott Thompson's health issues, and they talk about this. They talk about how his health issues actually sort of brought them together, and finding out about Scott Thompson was a survivor of a school shooting,
Oh,
and just sort of talking about how things are today versus how they were, and how things haven't necessarily changed as much as we think. But it's hilarious and it's moving, and whether you're a fan of them or not, there's something to gain from it. So if you're a comedy fan, watching Comedy Punks is absolutely worth the time and effort. And it's streaming on Amazon.
and it's streaming on amazing. All right, then, right
No,
on.
no, Amazon, not amazing.
Oh,
That's
okay.
don't that app never picked up. So
I will need to go ahead and check. I'm not a huge documentary guy. But that is one that I might need to check out there. I did enjoy Kids in the Hall back in the days. Never really took off like SNL did, even though they were both created by the same dude. But I guess the Canadians just didn't quite hit here as big. Or maybe it's way bigger in Canada than I knew beforehand. But yeah, I'm a big fan of all those dudes.
I
Right
like
on.
them individually when they show up and stuff. Like Dave Foley showing up in things. Sweet.
Dave Foley was my favorite of the group, and for me, I don't know if this isn't necessarily true of how things work, but for me, he just seemed like the face of the group. It just, to me, it always felt like I saw more Dave Foley than I saw the other guys. Maybe that's just the one that I latched onto.
They kind of talk about, not that specifically, but he certainly had more visibility, and him wanting to go do television, for example. I suddenly can't remember the name of the TV show based in the radio, um, that he did with Phil Hartman, but that
Oh,
program that program was part of the reason why Kids in the Hall broke up.
oh, really?
Yeah, because he needed time away to go do this, and they were, no, but we're doing this thing, and well, but I want to do this thing, and just it how they all started to sort of see this creative process, because it was a lot of work creating those shows.
Yeah.
But anyway, so what's yours?
My number eight is Emergency. You saw Emergency, right?
No, it is on my list.
Emergency, man.
You
It
did talk about it recently, though.
Yes, I did talk about it recently. That
Mm-hmm.
was towards the beginning of my run for FYC movies. That's an Amazon joint.
I believe in you. I think you can. I think you can be elected.
Thank you very
Your
much.
run
Thank you
for
very much.
FYC.
It's my run for your consideration, Daryl Mansell. The award of best Daryl
Can't
Mansell
wait to see
goes
the
to.
swag.
It's just my big dumb face on everything, or it's just me holding the stuffed puppy. Yeah, it's Emergency was one of my early movies. I started my run up directed by Kerry Williams. It is about these two young college kids, one obviously destined for bigger and better things. He's got the smarts, he's got the potential to know how to drive to get there, and his less than motivated friend, I guess is the best way of putting it. And the less than motivated friend is ready for a solid night of partying. They're trying to hit a number of spots. They're doing their version of, I think they call it the gauntlet of, we're going to hit all of these clubs and we're going to be legendary. I guess there
The
is
Golden Mile.
something like that. It's whatever it is that they do in the world's end is this their version of that,
But
right?
then they get to the third restaurant. The aliens show up, and
And the aliens show up. They say the whole
that's
thing
why it's
goes
an
wonky.
emergency. No, it's not. It is
And
way more.
you find out Martin Freeman is indeed an alien. Um,
He's not just the Tolkien white guy.
uh, and things kind of go awry.
Yeah.
They walk into their college house to find these are two young black kids to find a passed out white woman on the ground, and their decision becomes, what do we do? How do we handle the situation? It falls a good bit into that trap. Dramedies, for the most part, follow a formula of first act funny, second, third act drama. And I always hate that when the turn happens, all the comedy leaves.
Yeah.
And it kind of falls into that pattern here. And that turn is when they walk in and it becomes less ha ha hee hee and more, whoa shit, how do we handle this situation? Do we call the cops? We know what the cops' reaction could be. Can we risk everything on what they could or couldn't do, or do we handle the situation ourselves?
Mm-hmm.
And they just had to handle the situation themselves. And then from that, there is both comedy and hilarity that ensues from their increasingly wrong decision making processes. That does culminate in a good bit of drama. There's some cathartic endings for all this as well, man. There is a good scene between these two leads at the end of the movie where they kind of open up and have that affirmation of faith between them, and it is a beautifully written, beautifully acted scene. I think Emergency is one that kind of went quiet under a lot of people's radars
It
this
did.
year.
I want to say it had a festival premiere. I
For the rest of
maybe
us.
South by.
Hmm.
It may have premiered at South by and then got picked up by Amazon. And I remember wanting to cover it and not being able to, which par for the course. A lot of festivals have stuff gate kept, particularly South by.
Yeah, and you're going to be overwhelmed at festivals. Uh, what is the famous Douglas Davidson quote when it comes to these?
Can't see everything.
You can't see everything,
I'm
man.
fucking trying. God damn it.
There's only 24 hours a day. But yeah, Emergency is one that I'd highly suggest, man. Everyone listening, go check that out. You'll get your laughs in, get your yucks in, and it might leave you thinking about a thing or two as well.
Right on.
7 for Mr. Davidson.
Nope.
Okay, then 6, Mr. Davidson.
Actually, in all seriousness, Jordan Peele, nope.
Mm-hmm.
That is, if you know and you liked the film, you understand. If you have not watched it yet, it's streaming on Peacock. Go watch it. This is one of those films that it got ruined for me by Universal. When it hit home video digital, they started putting up advertisements that ruined the fuck out of the movie. But I don't think it changed my experience. However, if you have not had your Nope experience ruined, I'm not going to say anything other than It's on Peacock. It's available to purchase on physical and digital formats. Go check that shit out. Jordan Peele hasn't missed yet. He hasn't missed yet. Get Out, I think, is my favorite
Mhm.
of the three. Um, but Nope is right on its heels between concept and execution.
Yeah, I'm the same way. It's Get Out, Nope, Us. Um, yeah, I agree with all things said right there. Great, great damn movie, man. Great damn movie. I enjoy it. My number seven, All Quiet on the Western Front. Netflix rears its ugly streaming fucking head in this list. German, if you want, you can watch it in its German with subtitles. You can watch it dubbed. Yeah, and that's usually how you watch foreign movies, either subtitled or dubbed.
Sometimes
My
the subtitles are in the language, the natural language of whatever you're watching.
yes,
For people that can't hear without their subtitles, as the joke goes. So
there you
so
go.
you can watch it in the original language with subtitles. You can watch it in the original language, or you can watch it dubbed in English.
That brain fart was brought to you by Goose Island Bourbon County Brand Stout.
Sorry,
uh,
no chalky milk, folks.
no chalky
We
milk.
drank all that.
It is it's doing its purpose here. All Quiet on the Western Front, a World War I movie. Some people consider it the first anti-war book. This is an adaptation of said book. This is not the first time it's been done. There's the movie from back in the day that was also phenomenal. All Quiet on the Western Front is the story of these German kids who go to war, doing war shit. And they go from being pumped to serving their country to finding out just how shitty war was back in those days. War all around is shitty, but War One being kind of conventional warfare really ramping up to some wild shit. And then they do not skimp on showing you the wild shit, man. There's a scene with some cats getting flamethrowed that I was like, holy shit, these are cats getting flamethrowed right here. It's very light on the fun and games. It is bleak, it is grim, it is harrowing. I think is the best word for it. Directed by Edward Berger. He does a phenomenal job with this. The cinematography is phenomenal. The score for this is absolutely balls out amazing. I I may or may not have messaged a few members of North Carolina film critics and threatened them with bodily harm if they did not nominate this for score, along with another movie that might pop up on this list later.
As the president of the NCFCA, I cannot condone that. As your podcast co-host, I understand it.
As president of NCFCA, uh, that's the reason I didn't threaten you with bodily harm. I was like, I guess I'll leave Douglas out of these threats.
That's a pretty
Yeah,
good idea.
it's a damn good movie, man. It's just a well told story. The I I can't 100% latch on to these guys because they are a little too eager to go to war in the beginning, and that kind of puts me off. Um,
Do you think that's because of your military experience?
no, just anyone who's eager to go kill people is worrisome to me.
That's fair. I mean, it
Yeah,
was also World War One, and the way that, at least it seemed in the UK, based on history, was sort of a we're going to go do our duty and it's going to be great. And then you get there and it's a fucking shithole and
yeah,
people are
it's a
losing their
fucking
feet.
shithole, and people are losing their feet. Trench foot was a big thing in World War One. Yeah, there's some great. There's one scene somewhere maybe ending the second act that fuck it, I'll get a little spoiler. It's a guy in a
It's an adaptation of a book that came out
yeah,
decades ago.
it's very true,
I
very
read
true.
it. I read it so long ago I've forgotten most of it. That's how long ago it was. Spoilers been lifted.
Spoilers been lifted. It's they're in a I guess we call it a foxhole. It's our main guy that we're following, and it is not a French dude or whatever, and it's just them in this foxhole. They found themselves battling it out, and our guy gets a hold of the one knife and he stabs him a couple times, gives him a good old fashioned stab, and dude's just bleeding out there and crying and bleeding out. And towards as his life is draining out, you can tell that he just has a need for a human connection as he's draining, but the only human close by is the person who killed him. But he's still like reaching out for I want some human contact before I die. And you can see just the look of the kid who did the stabbing, our main guy, as he's watching this guy, his life draining due to something that he did. And it is a very weird scene to go from just his hate and venom towards these two to holding this guy's hand as he dies.
Being reminded of the humanity of the situation.
Yes, and kind of cleaning him up afterwards and digging through his pockets to kind of find out more about who this person was that he just killed. It is a great scene in a great movie. All quiet on the Western Front. There was nothing quiet about the Western Front.
Something occurred to me while you were speaking. You said that this is considered one of the first anti-war.
Yeah, or an early version of anti-war.
Okay, because Lysistrata, which was, I believe, Aristophanes, came a little bit before World War One.
Little bit.
That is very much an anti-war play.
Yeah.
And there was, and all of a sudden, I can't remember the other one. If I had graduated from the school I went to in Virginia, I was going to do a paper on two anti-war plays, Lysistrata and something else. One was a comedy, one was a drama. And do an analysis of the two of them. And then I moved to North Carolina and ended up doing a presentation because it was a completely different program, completely different school. Instead of going academic, I made a video about various golems in cinema and tested people on them. And that's how I graduated from the Northwest School of the Arts. Good old video of RoboCop and Rocky Horror and Frankenstein. But anyway, so no, I was curious. Yeah. So it clicked with me. Wait a minute. So, okay, cool. I don't think I knew that about All Quiet though. So, but it's been decades.
Very anti-war. And it does not skimp on this, showing just how shitty war can be. Number six
for me is another documentary. This one and my number 5 are both documentaries. They are the last on this list. 32 Sounds, which I watched at South by this past year, was directed by Sam Green. This is a documentary that is literally what it sounds like, for failure of a better term. It is an exploration of sound, how sound emanates from the world, how we process sound, and it's literally 32 of them. This isn't so much of a film. It is a film, but it is more so an experience. When you watch this, as I understand it, it's more you get put into a room with a bunch of other people and everybody's got headphones on.
Mm-hmm.
So that this way you get the directional aspect of certain sounds that you're doing. Now, I was watching this at home and I went and found headphones that I could plug up to my stereo. So I had the exact same experience that people that went to see it, quote, live could do. I haven't stopped thinking about it. It is meditative and it's thoughtful and it's technically fascinating because there actually is a sequence of talking to someone about how sound was added to movers. Going back to Babylon, we had moving pictures, but then the jazz singer and how that sound has changed to go from a 1-channel, 2-channel, 7.1 Dolby Atmos, baby, like how it has changed. Though they don't, I think, if I recall correctly, they don't get to the Atmos stuff, but just sounds in cinema, but also sounds in nature, sounds everywhere, sounds within us. There's actually a moment where I almost fell asleep because it was so meditative. It was phenomenal. I would recommend it to anybody.
Interesting. And what was the song? Where could you find it at?
As of right now, I don't think it's gotten, they've done like exhibitions. So it's been made available to the public outside of the festival. But as far as I know, and I'm actually quickly checking their site because I have a couple of quick links set up. But let's see. Their next show is Georgia Tech Arts First Center, Georgia Institute of Technology, Atlanta, Georgia, February 10th of 2023. So they're doing, looks like they're going to be at the Los Angeles Nimoy Theater in March. Going to hit the UCSB Arts and Lectures in April. If you're anywhere near or curious, I highly recommend looking this sucker up and going to check it out. You won't regret it. You really won't.
Right on. I'm interested in that, man. Interested in that. I'd like to check that out. See what that's all about. Cool. My number six, sir. Everything Everywhere All at Once.
You only get one.
In that case, it is a movie filmed by Daniels called Everything Everywhere All at Once. Man, oh man. This is one of those movies that guide by me. Normally, I'm pretty good at knowing what's coming out, and then there's always about 8 or 10 like, oh shit, what is this? How did this get by me? That was the first of the year. That how did this get by me? All Quiet being another one, although I'm not as current on my German filmmaking. But this one, man, it's
Slacker.
I'm slacking, man. I was so focused on Scandinavian this year. It's science fiction, it's multiverse, it's traveling, hopping, tapping into the abilities of your other selves, all to defeat the bagel. It's generational family trauma. It's high concept, weighty ideas. It is hilarious. It is depressing. It's emotional all at once, and it balances all of these tones and themes well. It's the best acting I've ever seen Michelle Yeoh do, and I've watched a lot of Michelle Yeoh in my day. Although, yeah, you don't need Oscar acting when you're doing kung fu movies, but that's neither here nor there. Uh, it's it brought us Quan back from whatever dumpster they found him under. I'm glad they did, man. I always assume it's the same dumpster that Quentin Tarantino found Jennifer Jason Leigh under. It's great to see him back.
A lot
Stephanie
of talent
Sue.
under that dumpster. People should check that
People
dumpster
should
out.
check that dumpster more often. Stephanie Sue, I am campaigning. That's my supporting actress of the year. I loved everything she was doing. The costuming department was just going balls out. The camera work is absolutely nutty. There's so many layers, so many different things. Every time James Hong is on screen is a delight to see. So much happening in this movie. This movie is chaos done well. It's a lot of shit happening, but Daniels are very clear on some of the multiverse stuff was a bit hand wavy. I'll say that. But its chaos is still is well presented and makes sense that you can easily follow along with. They will hold your hand through this process to make sure you don't get lost in any of it, and you don't want to get lost in the wait a minute, but because you're going to miss some great character beat or something like that. It's just I can't imagine how they put this story together. It's complex and it's just wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I I had wanted to see that film so badly, and I was excited that it was premiering at South by. I was covering that festival remotely. I was like, fuck yes, let's do this. And Lionsgate said no, A24 said no.
No, for it was Southwest or South by only. No,
Yeah, it
no.
was, if you were in person, that's the only way you were going to see it. And of course, this time of year, they're like, make sure to, how can we help you watch our movie? Where was this in the other part of the year? So I had to wait for home video. There was no way to do a home release review of it. Okay, fine. I bought a copy, no big deal. But then it took a while to find a window to watch it. So super excited to watch it. I've been waiting fucking months. My time is now. I can finally see this. The disc started fucking up.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And then Preston woke up and Crystal was trying to watch it with me, so we had to pause it. So between having to pause it because she wanted to watch it with me, I mean, I wasn't reviewing it, so I didn't mind pausing, and then the disc issues, and then there were light. I'm as I've gotten older, I've become light sensitive. It'll flashing strobes will cause a migraine. So I was like, fuck. And so I'm dealing with that, and I'm losing the emotionality of everything because of all this stuff. And there's a lot going on. I made sure to rewatch it before voting took place. Made sure.
Mm-hmm.
So much better the second time around.
Mm-hmm.
Not only because I could better process the information of the story, but I knew what to expect in terms of flashing lights, so I could anticipate that. I made sure to watch my Blu-ray instead of my 4K. Like, I planned this shit out just to make sure it would be as seamless as possible. And I agree with you. It is one of the best films that I've seen this year. It is just outside of my top 10.
Disrespectful
Well,
to
hold on, hold on,
A24.
hold on, hold on. No, no, no.
Wasn't the
The
Green Knight
number
just
12
outside your
is
top 10
Marcel.
too?
What was that?
So wasn't the Green Knight just outside your top 10 too?
Probably,
You
probably.
hate to see it. A24, we're gonna get this guy right. If
Hey,
you're
hey,
listening
hey.
out there.
Marcel the Shell with Shoes On is also A24. It's number 12.
See what he's
Everything
doing
Everywhere
to
All at
you?
Once is 13.
See what he's doing to you, A24? He just won't put you in his 10 list.
Well,
We're
here,
gonna get him there.
I'm just gonna piss off everybody. Top Gun Maverick is 14. It isn't even in my
Oh,
top 10.
uh, this man, I tell you.
Yes,
Well,
this man has no problem with
Thomas,
it. You
you're
know
up.
why? I have 60 films on my favorites list out of like 350 new this year movies I've seen. So like we're talking all these are rated 4.5 out of 5. It's
Mm.
just like which ones resonated with me just a little bit more. And the films I'm talking about in my top 10 resonated with me more than Top Gun, than everything, than Marcel. So it's all right. It's all right. They're somebody's favorites, and they can be.
Let me message Thomas and let him know that the backup show will proceed as planned. Yeah.
Mannings.
I oh man, we gotta pick this up. We're on our top five, man. We've only gone through our bottom half of
You
this
wanted to do
list.
10. You wanted to do 10. Here we
Yeah,
go.
yeah, here we
Okay.
go. Number five, sir.
Oh, my number 5 is another documentary I've talked about before. It's directed by a gentleman by the name of Chase Joint. At least I say gentleman. I actually don't know pronouns, and that in particular is important to understand because the documentary is called Framing Agnes.
Mm-hmm.
It finally got released. I saw it at Sundance. It finally got a release by Kino Lorber this month, December of 2022. And it talks about a woman, Agnes. I'm just going to read this summary. Agnes, the pioneering pseudonymized transgender woman who participated in Harold Garfinkel's gender health research at UCLA in the 1960s, has long stood as a figurehead of trans history. This documentary is about Agnes and about how Agnes may have lied during the research study in order to get gender reassignment surgery. In order to explore this, Chase has the entire documentary set up like a television program interview show from the period, from the 1960s. I think it's Mike Wallace that he's emulating.
Yeah.
He has actors playing the roles of the participants of the research study. Chase is reading the questions from the research people. The actors are reading the responses from the original participants, but they're all dressed up in in garb. And then from time to time, still in that outfit, but in a different location, like in a green room or something else, they talk about the participants, the actors playing the participants, talk about their experience as a transgender individual and exploring the rightness or wrongness of what Agnes did.
Mm.
It is fantastic.
So the documentary supposes that Agnes lied in order to get the operation done.
Mm-hmm. That their involvement in it, that whatever questions were being asked, whatever happened, that the question is being, did Agnes tell the truth? And if she didn't tell the truth in order to get this done, a risky procedure that not a lot of people could get, but as an individual who felt that they had to do anything that they could to do it, were they justified in doing it? It has some really interesting questions. And rather than getting your standard cishet dudes to do it, they get people from the community that are also experts.
All right, right on. I'm already on Agnes' side. Scan the system wherever you can. Fuck it. Let the chips fall where they may.
Either. So I found it incredibly compelling. Chase Joint was a co-director for another film called No Ordinary Man, which was actually about a musician whose name, Billy Tipton.
Hmm.
who, upon Billy's death, was outed because the EMT showed up, ripped off Billy's shirt, and went, "Wait a minute." And that's how Billy Tipton got outed as a trans man.
Okay.
So, having seen that, you come to Framing Agnes. I knew Chase was going to do something special, and it absolutely is. If you get the chance to check it out, make the time.
Right on. Right on. Right on. My number five, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Listen, sometimes, man, movies are a work of art. They are important. They mean something. And sometimes movies like, we're going to give you what you've been waiting years to see. And that's what Doctor Strange is for me. In all of the Marvel comic book universe,
Mm-hmm.
one of my favorite stories of all time is the House of M. It is Wanda going batshit crazy and just rewriting reality, creating alternate dimensions for Avengers. It is a whole ass thing in the comics. It made Wanda untrustworthy for years. I love it. So in 2014, when they said, "Hey, we're gonna have Elizabeth Olsen as Wanda Maximoff," I was like, "Oh, it's only a matter of time." And finally, in 2022, we have reached that matter of time, and Sam Raimi did me correctly. Man,
Mm-hmm.
I love Multiverse of Madness. I love that it is Wanda going batshit crazy, pulling no punches to the discomfort of Elizabeth Olsen, who didn't quite realize what was going to be going on. Meanwhile, I was like, yes, excellent, 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 do more. But still, at the heart of the story is Doctor Strange. And one question that chases and nags him throughout the movie, a very simple question: are you happy in your life? That's the theme of the movie. That's what they keep going back to. That's the question he's asked, I do believe, in every act of the movie. Um, and it's just saying this, you think about it, it's outside of Wong, who does he have? Who are his friends? What does he doesn't have anything. He lost the girl.
Yep.
I mean, Nicodemus West says it in The Wedding, all that superheroics, and you still lost the girl. You got like one friend. What is the man can't be happy in life? And he is blatantly admitted to lying that yes, I said yes, I'm happy, and no, he's not happy. And that kind of follows him throughout the course of the events of the movie. And we also get America Chavez, who's, the MacGuffin, the big MacGuffin in the movie, keep America safe from batshit crazy Wanda. It's just a good movie, man. It's a fun movie. I rewatched it the other day. I had it up a little bit higher on this list, and I was like, it's not quite as good as my number four, but it's still fun for me. I've probably seen it about 5 or 6 times now, and I love it every single time. It lets Sam Raimi kind of just Sam Raimi it up in parts. If you're an Evil Dead fan, there's stuff here for you. There's going to be your obligatory Bruce Campbell getting beat up in there. There's some standard Raimi shit in there. It's short. There's a lot of shit happens in a short window for that movie,
Yeah.
and I am a huge fan of Multiverse of Madness.
It is up there on my phase four with favorite films. I love how they built off of WandaVision. I I
WandaVision.
understand I understand people's frustration with that, but if you watch the end of the season, they make it very clear which direction, at least I felt, what direction was going to go in. So I was not surprised by the turn. I loved how the trailer didn't give it away, and I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
don't tell us going in that she's the bad guy, and it was a fantastic choice. It was played beautifully by the whole cast, and we got to see the Illuminati, and then we got to see them die.
yeah. And it's also one of those like, listen, you've been asking about John Krasinski as Reed Richards forever.
Here,
We'll give you what you want. It's not
him, and then spaghetti.
him and spaghetti, mom's spaghetti. It won't be long, but you will get just a little bit. I firmly believe he's not going to be your Reed going forward. And if that's the case, then thank you for giving us, because I was definitely a Krasinski as Reed guy. I was on that train. So thanks for giving us 5 minutes, a modicum of what we wanted. We got. I'm not going to complain about it. I'm not like there's Justice League people fully campaigning for things. I'm happy with what I got.
Uh, quick. I know we're going long on time, but quick digression. just yesterday there was something going around on Twitter, hashtag Project Justice League. Someone took the storyboards, I think, if I'm understanding this correctly, someone took the storyboards that Snyder had shared, turned into a motion comic, and they got actors to voice them. So it's on YouTube. They did it to raise money for the suicide prevention organization that Snyder is now affiliated with.
Mm-hmm.
So they did it to raise money, but also to sort of give this more fuel and steam. But it's on YouTube. I think it's about 43 minutes long, and it's supposed to be the next part of the Justice League story
Huh,
that,
interesting.
as of
Interesting
right now,
idea.
will not be made.
That will never be made. What is your number four, sir?
My number four is a film I have talked about on the show before. This is another one I did see at Sundance. It's called Duel by Riley Stearns. This
Mm,
is the same writer director behind The Art of Self Defense and Faults, neither of which I have seen. But Duel is a film about a woman who finds out that she is going to die. She has a rare disease, and she just so happens to live in a universe in which clones are available for the terminally ill. You can buy one, have it made, it'll take over your life. And this way, when you die, it'll be a comfort to those that are left behind because they have you, but not you.
I wonder, did they ever say there's a lifespan on those clones? Like, can a clone get a clone when the clone's about to die?
They don't
Eventually,
get
it's a
into that.
world populated by clones.
They do not get into that,
Yeah.
but because the caveat here is that the terminally ill woman then recovers. She's no longer dying. However, legally, only one person can be this person.
Mm-hmm.
So a duel must take place.
Mm-hmm.
1 year from whatever legal thing, the two must battle to the death on a field with various weapons. Whoever lives becomes the real person. Doesn't matter if they're the clone or the original, they become the real person. This is a film that more or less is an extended Twilight Zone episode
Okay.
where uh, think of it like I forget the name of the story, but the guy who's finally by himself, he's got all the books, he trips, he falls, his glasses break, but there was time now. Be careful what you wish for,
Mm-hmm.
because this whole film is about this woman trying to take more or less finally enjoy her life, take control of her life, appreciate the things that are in it, and the different ways in which we seek things, but what happens when we actually get them, and were we better off before? It's complicated, it's complex. Even rewatching it, it's still very deep and rich. I highly recommend people check this film out. It doesn't get talked about a lot.
I love how it was like you have a 1% chance of living, and then she gets the 1% chance, and they're like, "Wait, huh?" They're like, "Yeah, yeah, whatever, clones." You don't need to know any of the medical shit. She got through it. Let's get to
Mm.
these damn clones.
Mm-hmm.
I was a fan of Duel, man. I didn't know what to expect going in. It is a dark comedy,
Yeah.
and it's. I wish we'd gotten more Aaron Paul because he was just kind of a sweet character
Yeah.
in that movie.
He just wanted to learn to dance, man. He
Just
just
wanted
wanted to
to
learn to
learn to
dance.
dance. I think
Just
Karen Gillan's performance is just weirdly stilted at times in that movie, and that kind of put me off for a little bit. Like, yeah, I'm not sure what she was going for with that performance. It kind of put me off, but like the what goes down in that third act, you're like, oh, this shit is dirty and devious. I am due for a rewatch of that movie, and I think it is one that the other one in there would want to check out as well. I need to give it a read. I messaged you as the credits were rolling when I was in the theater, and I was like, "You saying this shit?" And you were like, "It's a good movie, good call, sir." I did not think you rated it this highly, though.
oh yeah. Oh yeah. I
Right on.
I've been raving about this movie since I saw it. I couldn't wait for it to get a wide release, and thankfully RLJE picked it up, um and so it finally did get a release. I honestly, it's an I feel as though it is underseen, particularly at this time of year when at least a film like Emily the Criminal, John Patton Ford, and Aubrey Plaza is getting some discussion this time of year. But I would have
Yeah.
liked to have seen Duel pick up some of that too.
Agreed. 100% agreed on that point. My
What's your
number four is Nope. I do believe it is our only crossover for this entire
Nope?
list. Yeah.
Nope. You will choose again. Nope. No, that's
Peel,
fine.
man, we talked about it briefly already. The man is 3 for 3 as far as I'm concerned.
Yep.
I think that Daniel Kaluuya's inward performance is masterful. I liked it even more when I watched it a couple days ago to get this list all sorted out. Kiki Palmer, I think there's just their dynamic of all the light is on me, and I'm just gonna shut up and be thinking the whole time over here. That pairs very well together with Angel somewhere there in the middle. Um, when I was putting together all my stuff for Wars packages or whatever, I try to keep track throughout the year as I watch movies of, oh, this might be good for cinematography. This might be good. At one point, I had Michael Wincott for supporting actor, and I took him off for some other things. But then rewatching, I was like, man, Wincott's doing some pretty interesting things in this movie, man. They give him a little bit of monologue. He's just a jaded cameraman who's looking for, this is Jordan Peele's Moby Dick, right? Especially
Jaws.
for
It's Jaws.
it's Jaws, it's Moby Dick for Michael Wincott's character. Put it that way. He wants to film the unfilmable. He wants to catch the uncatchable, and
That's
that
his
ends up
doll's eyes story. Purple
okay.
People Eater? That's
Okay,
doll's eyes.
I think you go. I think you go either way with that. Actually, I think in the special features he does mention Moby Dick in that regard. But
I
yeah,
I don't remember, but it wouldn't surprise me.
yeah, I
But
think
anyways, please continue.
specifically for Wincott's character trying to catch and film the unfilmable, leading to his doom. It's every member of that cast is great. Even the TMZ guy is good. And from what I've heard from a TMZ person that I talked to, yeah, it's worse than what you see, way worse than what you see, and they will do anything to get that shot. Um, and then, of course, like every Jordan Peele movie, what's the layers? What's the subtext? What is he actually trying to say? What is he talking around? He had plenty of arguments with Leslie about specifically Stephen Yun's character and how he fits into all of this. Like, what is he profiting off of that traumatic event? Is he trying to work through that traumatic event? Is he how has that traumatic event changed him, and what is he doing with it? I think he's profiting off of it. What do you say, sir?
I think he hasn't dealt with that shit, but he knows people will pay for it. And he knows that trauma can be a source of financial success for those that sit at the top,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I will make you a spectacle. So he knows and he figured out people were interested in his sordid past. So I'm going to build a private room and people will pay to be in it. And that's what'll help me do these other things that I want to do.
Yep.
If it weren't for him, if it weren't for him,
None of this shit would have been happening
OJ
in the
Sr.
first
would be
place.
alive.
Yeah.
Like, fucking asshole doesn't care who he kills
Mm-hmm.
or what happens. He wants success for his family. He wants to take care of it. Now, maybe he does care. We don't get a sense that he does too much, but I think he understands the trauma sells. He never dealt with his shit, um, but he'll use it.
Yep.
That's my thought.
I think I can agree with that. And atop all else, this movie gave us a live action version of the Akira slide, which cannot go unmentioned. Kiki Palmer there at the very end, sliding the bike over by the well. Thank you, Jordan Peele, for giving me something in live action I thought I would never see because it's only been replicated in every animated form known to man. And it's so unexpected to me that I cheered and clapped at this. Were you at the screening of No?
Mm-mm.
I cheered and clapped at the screening, which I did not see coming. It just elicited a response from me. It was a wonderful, wonderful shot.
Isn't that amazing? Is it doesn't matter if it's Nope, doesn't matter if it's Duel, doesn't matter if it's The Northman, Black Panther, to just be so involved in whatever it is you're watching that a compulsion arises.
Mm-hmm.
Just respond and react. fucking love movies, man.
Yes, agreed,
Fucking
sir.
love it's just sometimes you just get to go on a fucking ride. I forget what I was watching. Oh, Chris and I were watching a new episode of Leverage Redemption, and it takes place at a dock, and all I could think of was the A Team and the shit that they were doing, the misdirection and whatever.
Hmm.
The A Team isn't like a masterpiece of movie, but it
It's
is
so fun.
it is so much
It is
fun.
so fun,
That
man.
cast is so good, and they're
Sharlto
having such a
Copley as
blast.
Howlin' Mad Murdoch is just the greatest cast, man. I love it, man. God,
So
I love
it's
that
just
movie.
you gotta love no matter what it is. If it elicits an emotion from you, joy, fear, drama, laughter, clapping, that's it's fucking great, man. Fucking love
Great,
the
man.
movies.
All right. Speaking of which, we were at your top three, sir.
Top three. All right. I'm going to be super quick with this one and just recommend that people track it down wherever the fuck they can find it. And this one may be a little hard to find. So I apologize now. It's a film. It's film from Finland. It's Finnish. Timu Niki's The Blind Man Who Did Not Want to See Titanic.
Ah, yes, I've heard of this. I think you talked
I
about
have
it
mentioned
before.
it. I have mentioned it on the show before. The short version is that there is an individual dealing with a degenerative condition that not only applies to what he can see, but how he moves. And he has developed a relationship with a woman that the two of them never met, but they speak every day and they're incredibly close. And he decides, you know what? I'm going to go visit her.
Hmm.
And he does. And unfortunately, hilarity does not ensue. It is terrifying and horrifying what he goes through. Not just the discomfort of relying on other people to help you get from point A to point B, but the fact that there are people in the world that will take advantage of you because you appear weak to them.
Hmm.
Everything in the movie is shot from his perspective, our lead character, Jaco. And because of his limited range of vision, we only get to see like within inches, millimeters of what he can see. There's
Hmm.
very few instances where the camera isn't on him. And when it is, it's even fewer where we can see an image clearly. It is a remarkable movie. It takes chances. We talked about big swings with Babylon. That's what this feels like, and it is you'll be on the edge of your seat with it. So if you get the chance to see it, see it.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
I will try to track that down somehow, some way. My number three, man. Boy, Martin McDonough back at it again, man. The Banshees of Inisherin. I love this horrible, bleak movie, man. This depressing as shit comedy. I rewatched it a couple days ago for this, and man, it impacts just as hard. This movie is amazing. Colin Farrell, Brendan Gleeson. There we go. Couldn't pull it. Colin Farrell, Brendan Gleeson, Carrie Condon, Barry Keoghan. No one knows how to pronounce that guy's last name. It is. It's a movie about two friends who are no longer friends. That's what starts the movie. Brendan Gleeson has decided he no longer wants to be Colin Farrell's friend. He wants to create something that lasts. And apparently, he feels like he's been wasting time being Colin Farrell's friend, and he's not been able to create that thing that will last. And the movie follows Colin Farrell's character as he reconciles or attempts to understand why his best friend no longer wants to be his best friend. There's a sense of confusion and loneliness and loss. And everything that man holds dear is stripped away throughout this movie. And I think I said it when I mentioned the show, and it's the saddest I've ever seen a character on film. I can't think of a character that's disparaged. I know of characters who've gone through more shit, but
Yeah.
characters that have not disparaged as much. Like you feel for this dude. It's a very simple, not simple minded, but just simple. A simple guy who has simple pleasures in life, who just wants to be able to have some drinks with his friend, hang out with his sister, tend to his animals, go about his day. And then as all of that one by one is taken away from him, like what is he left with? And he turns into a different kind of person. Um, and you know how that all plays out is just interesting and heartbreaking and beautiful and aching. And much as I said, Green Knight had the best line of any movie, best ending line of any movie in 2021. I think Banshees has the best ending line of any movie in 2022 of the final confrontation between Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson. Love everything about this movie.
I totally understand why it would be on anyone's top 10. I don't know if it falls on my favorites lists or not. I think I need to watch it again. I loved how McDonough, and I'm a big fan of Three Billboards. I'm a big fan of Seven Psychopaths. I need to rewatch In Bruges because I think when I saw it, I thought it was going to be a different kind of film, and so my expectation had
Yeah.
friction with what it was. So I need to revisit it. But since I've enjoyed the other two, I feel like maybe I would again.
Seven
But
Psychopaths and Three Billboards seems to be two for them movies. In
maybe
Bruges and Banshees are his two for me movies.
could very well be. Could very well be. Um, but with this, I in particular liked the. I'm trying to figure out the best way to say this. It's a film about a breakdown of communication and a breakdown of friendship.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really get into this as much as I probably should have in the home release review that I did recently. For those of you who don't know, it's available on Blu-ray and DVD right now. You can stream it. I think for
So on
as part of your
Max, I think.
subscription with HBO Max, you can also get it on VOD and digital. But the fact that it takes place, I believe, during the Irish Civil War,
The Troubles.
you
Yeah.
you can hear it happening in the distance. But for a lot of people on the island, oh well, it's over there, it's not over here. But this breakdown in relationship is like that. It is these two ideologies that used to be in sync, but are now through acts of violence growing more and more distant and more um,
Mm-hmm.
trying to think of the right word for it. Saying that it's a conflict it underplays it, even though the film is relatively peaceful and there is violence, but it's all self-made, self-done.
Yeah.
But that violence itself speaks volumes and hurts the other so much. But then again, that act itself says when we hurt others, we hurt ourselves, kind of thing. Well, I'm hurting myself to hurt someone else.
Right.
This hurts them far more than it hurts me. But anyway, it is a remarkable movie. I get why it's your number three.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now I'm curious about your two and one. Hmm.
And I mean, man. Yeah. What is your number two, sir?
My number two is a movie that I can't wait to rewatch. I've unfortunately only seen it once. It is available on VOD now. It hit theaters in November. It is available on Blu-ray in the U fucking K right now and will come available on Blu-ray some point in 2023. Aaron Moorhead and Justin Benson's Something in the Dirt. This movie is one tells you it's one thing, it's absolutely something else. And I'm not going to ruin it for anybody who hasn't seen it. So I'm simply going to tell you it's about two neighbors who witness a supernatural event and decide to record it in order to become famous. So it's a documentary, but it's Aaron Moorhead and Justin Benson in front of and behind the camera. So I guarantee you it is not as simple as they make it out to be. And it's absolutely not. We've talked about it on the show before. So if you have missed those discussions, I will simply say, check it out.
Yeah. I do believe
You won't regret it.
I
You won't.
nominated it for screenplay. I think I nominated it for editing. And there are some
Uh-huh.
fantastical things, but you don't see a whole lot of those fantastical things, not too much. And I like the way they kind of edit around not seeing those fantastical things. I also nominated for my one of my favorite posters of the year as well. It's a it's a damn good movie. Benson and Moorhead for me have not missed. I
Yeah.
think I'm missing just their first movie is the only one I haven't seen yet. But so far those dudes are knocking it out of the park. I like their style and sensibility. It's sci-fi with a twist on it always. And we get more of that here with Something in the Dirt as well. I think it is Benson who's the complete skis in this movie, or maybe they're both kind of skeezes in this movie.
I think
I,
you're meant to think that one is more of a skis than the other um by the way that one dresses. But
yeah,
but let me see. So I want to get this right. Yeah, Aaron Moorhead, he's yeah, he plays John. Benson plays Levi. Levi is the one who moves into the apartment complex that John is already established in.
yes.
And you're sort of meant to, I think, that Levi is probably the one who's a little off, a little secretive, a little whatever, and John's are sort of our way in and out. But the but without getting into anything that would ruin it, things aren't always what they seem.
Things aren't always what they seem, and there's reveals on both ends, on multiple ends, that just makes it a fucking sweet movie, man. It's a sweet, sweet movie. Good call.
I still need to see Spring and Revolution or Resolution. I have them. I
Mm-hmm.
bought them, and I went. I will watch them maybe in
Yes.
2023.
Yeah,
It only took me a decade or so to watch Brick. I mean, how much longer can it take me to watch these two?
the Endless was dope. There Something in the Dirt was dope. What did Synchronic? Is that what they did?
Chronic.
Synchronic was dope. I like what those guys are doing. They're tons
Uh-huh.
of fresh original stories, and even Moon Knight. They're Moon Knight. It was tripping all over the place as well. So they're doing good shit there. My number two, man. Yeah.
He's gone
Okay.
silent, folk. He's gone silent. He's doubting it. He's doubting it. Wait, let's see.
I
He's coming up to
have
the
been.
pitch.
I have
He's
been.
looking confident. He appears like he's ready.
I am ready. My number two announcement is the Batman. I fucking
Where does
love
he
the
get those
Batman.
wonderful toys?
See, those not the 1989 Batman. The Batman. One of my favorite things about comic books, it's almost always henchmen that call him the Batman. Like he's just this mythical creature that just appears from the shadows, which is kind of what Batman does. He uses fear to his ploy. We get a year two Batman here, Robert Pattinson taking the mantle. A dope story directed by Matt Reeves. It's kind of like comic books version of Seven, is what everyone's kind of compared it to since it first came out. Seven or Zodiac, a little flavor of each. Um, and I think it
I
does
don't think
exist.
I don't think I would have been like, oh, seven. But yeah, that makes a lot of sense, particularly when you look at Dano.
Oh yeah, the
Huh.
fact that it's raining so often throughout the movie, like it does in Seven. The fact that you got your Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman in Gordon and Batman trying to figure out what's going on. I love Jeffrey Wright's Gordon in this. He just seems like a more leisurely Gordon. I don't even know who you are, man. It just some of the things he does is very warm Gordon that I like. Um,
Now I want you to punch me and get the fuck out of here.
that escape sequence is one of my favorite. The
It's
car
great.
chase sequence is my favorite sequence of events in a movie in 2022. That's what you crank the speakers up for and just let it run. That deserves every stunt award, every cinematography award. Shout out to Greg Fraser on that one. It's Colin Farrell's performance during that, just yelling, I got you," and all that. No, he does not got him. He does not got him at all. Just that kind of Batmobile being a muscle car,
Mhm.
more than the the tank we'd seen for the last how long for the Christian Bale movies and Ben Affleck's Batman. It's just everything, man. This is so good. Yes, sir.
It's an electric muscle car.
An electric muscle car.
No, I'm not kidding. In the bonus features, if I remember correctly, they talk about this because I was fucking curious. Because how do you sneak around in that fucking car? How do you turn it on and have nobody notice that it's there, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
when we see him at the beginning of that, how does nobody know,
Uh-huh.
right? Where it's parked, whatever. It's an electric vehicle.
Ha!
It's an electric
Ha!
vehicle. And so it can be quiet. That's its stealth mode.
Bruce Wayne, always at the forefront of technology, man. Um,
The good Elon Musk.
it's the good Elon Musk. You know, every Batman cast we get is always derided and made fun of and complained about. And so far, I don't think outside of George Clooney, we've really gotten a bad Batman. Pattinson puts his own flavor on it, his own
Yeah.
spin on it, and it's dope. It's 2.5 hours of dopeness. I think the cast is excellent. The one thing, there's two things I don't like about this movie. It's his relationship with Alfred is very antagonistic, which I don't like that out of my Batman. And I don't think John Turturro was a very good mob boss, personally. But other than that, man, I love every bit and piece and part and parcel of this movie. And it helps that black and red are my two favorite colors. And this movie is just drenched and draped in those two colors specifically.
It is a fine film. I totally get why it's some people's favorites of this year. I totally see where I could be on your number two, even if it didn't work as highly. It is on my favorites list. Let's see. It's
I don't want to.
number
I don't know. I don't know. I'm just gonna be
31.
upset. I'm just gonna be upset. Okay.
If it helps, Doctor Strange is 30.
No, it doesn't help.
Outfits 29.
Doesn't help. We rewatched that as well. I rewatched that. I was like, is it gonna shoot up a couple spots to take number 10's joint? It did not, but man,
If not for
outfit.
the literal ending of that movie is so fucking good.
Yeah, that last little bit with him and Johnny Flynn and the Shears. I didn't need that. Uh,
It's for me, it's more the explanation. I didn't need the explanation.
of who he used to be.
Yeah, like I
Yeah,
didn't need that part. All the rest of it was fucking great. Once we decided, okay, now we need to explain who I am. Fuck you. Trust me to know that I can figure this shit out.
right, right.
You've been too goddamn smart to just be a tailor.
Right. We knew you had some kind of shady past, and the blue jeans joke works, twice throughout the movie, whatever. We know that's not your real reason. Johnny Flynn just chewing the scenery as a bad guy throughout it. I love I love bad guys who look like they're having fun being bad guys in movies. And I think Johnny Flynn is one of those who just looks like he's having a blast with his horrible Chicago accent being a bad guy. I think Stephen Lang in the Avatar 1 and 2 just looks like he's having a fun time being a tropey, stereotypical bad guy and just rolling with it. But yeah, outfit dopeness. That's a little side extra 20. But yeah, the Batman, man. Love that fucking movie.
Yeah.
What is your number one, sir?
Will say in defense, it may be low on my list compared to what other people would prefer. I do agree that along with it, has joined the collection of demo discs for like 4K and stereo systems. The Batman, the score for that, Michael.
Giacchino. That
Thank
is
you.
the other movie that I was threatening harm other critics. Like, you better fucking put the Batman as one of your scores on there.
I I I bought it. Like I had to do WB was only selling it on CD as like made to order. I went into it like I was buying a sandwich.
I'll take 3 tracks of this, and I'll take just the flutes from this one, and then just the trombones over
I
here.
designed this to really make me fit. No,
Okay.
but the only way I could get that on CD because I wanted it on CD. I wanted to make sure I wasn't going to download that shit. Let me own it so that I could rip it and then I could just take it with me wherever. But I always have the CDs,
Mm-hmm.
and it's fantastic. It's been a go-to writing score all year
Right on,
since
right on.
March.
I love the fuck out of that
It's great,
score, man. It's
fantastic.
just it's got a good the trumpets and trombones are doing something there. All right, and what tops your heap so far as you've seen for the year
Uh,
2022?
I have not seen a film that has been worth every minute of its runtime, without question. That has not delighted, dazzled, surprised, found me emoting one way or another, that I have not stopped talking about since I saw it, that prior to seeing it had developed a reputation and fucking exceeded the reputation that it has, and I have not stopped talking about it as well. It's a film in which if I want my youngest to settle down, I can go, hmm? And he will chill the fuck out. Ladies and gentlemen, RRR and its song Natu Natu. That movie is it's fucking amazing. It's historical fiction for those of you that don't know. It's two Indian revolutionaries, Indian is in the country, who in this version of history meet in the 1920s and basically destroy the British imperialists and frankly
And
fuck
dance
them.
off.
Well, that's just one scene, sir. And they do, but that scene does so much more than just let's embarrass the British. It beautifully encapsulates the relationship between the two characters of Ram and Beam. It is a phenomenal film. You can stream it on Netflix in Hindi. It's originally Telugu, and only one streamer has the license rights for the original language. So it's a little rare in the US to see that unless you jump through some hoops. But cannot recommend it enough. Keep listening to the soundtrack. Even when, while watching with Crystal, we noticed a bag that a character landed on was captured in shot. It's like, fuck it, don't care. Just this film is so off the charts, beyond reality, but also based in reality. I don't care anymore. I am too charmed by this entire film. I find no fault with it. Perfect.
Yeah,
Perfect cinema.
it is a fun movie. It's a bit too long for me, but it's still a fun movie. I think the dance sequence is absolutely nonsensical, and I love it. I think this scene where they have the animals jumping out of the truck is absolutely nonsensical, and I love it.
Nonsensical. They've been building to that shit since we first meet Beam.
I think, yes, it's very true. I think that I forget which one of them shows up. It made my favorite shots of 2022. The backlist shot where they show with the bow and arrow. I was like, this shit's so fucking dope. Like it had been an escalating series of dopenesses, and then it's topped by that dope shot. And I was just like, okay, I'm here for this. This movie is it's fun. It's fun as fuck, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And it may not be accurate, again, historical fiction. And apparently there are some um, political issues with the presentation of certain things
Mm-hmm.
as it relates to life in India and some of their leaders. But we've got plenty of films that have won Oscars that are problematic as fuck. So I can acknowledge that it is not perfect and still please go see this goddamn movie and use it as an opportunity to learn about a part of the country. Use this as a jumping off point and go, as Daryl would say, it's not a documentary. So use it as a jumping off point to go learn about history. Yeah, because I would say RRR, based on what I've learned about the history, is far more accurate than goddamn Bohemian Rhapsody
Well,
that
here we go with this
destroys history.
nonsense. It's not a
It just makes
documentary.
shit up.
It's a movie. It's a movie. Just let fiction be fiction. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think it is. It is. I who was it? Bong Joon Ho that talked about the 1 inch barrier of subtitles.
with Parasite.
Yes, with Parasite, I really wish that we had more people who got into foreign language movies, and this would be if someone was willing, but yeah, give me a suggestion. This would be one of my top three suggestions of let me ease you in with this absolutely ludicrous, fun, funny, emotional, dramatic action joint.
Got
It really
everything.
scratches damn near every itch there is, man. It's got
It
in 3 hours. It better damn well should.
if Stefan were describing to you a club, it would be RRR.
Shout out to Bill Hader. And I just want to say, man, Ram Charan, his hair is not out of place in a single scene in that
Nope.
movie. I was mad watching that entire movie. Like, how is it so luscious and thick? It's got body and bounce and sheen and shine.
We find out when he's going to take Beam to the party. He's like, no, no, no. Let me dress you.
Yeah.
I got you,
Yes.
dude. We're
It's,
going to make you pretty for Jenny. That's how.
And
The
he's the
power
one
of
that's
love.
wearing he's the one that's wearing the suspenders too,
Mhm.
isn't he? At that during that dance, man. Ah,
Yeah,
man.
well, they both are wearing suspenders during the dance because they're both doing the thing.
Yeah,
But he's the bow and arrow guy.
thank you very much.
Yeah, because he had gotten severely injured saving his friend who thought it was a betrayal. It's a
Yeah,
thing.
it's
It's
got
a thing. It's a
everything.
love story. It's a love story amongst bros.
It really is. It might be one of the most bro movies to exist in the last couple of years. It
And
bros
it is so
hard, and
pure
it fucks
too.
with it. Yeah,
It is so pure. I
the
fucking love
power
it.
of friendship. My number one, man, not broy at all, but it took
Bros.
it took me on a ride like RRR takes you on a ride. I just said earlier in this very long podcast that movies can be art. They can convey a message. They can get you to think about things, and sometimes they can just take you for a fun fucking ride. That's what Top Gun Maverick does, man. It just takes you for a fun fucking ride all throughout it. Tom Cruise is a madman. Cinematography is absolutely gorgeous. The plane work, stunt work, whatever you want to call it, is delicious as all get out. Um, Very savvy in the fact that there is no politically affiliated enemy of any kind. Some might call it a cop out, might call it smart story writing. The enemy, quote unquote, is all we are ever told. And everyone in the room just kind of knows
Fifth
who you.
generation fighters. And how can we defeat them? They have fifth generation fighters.
Oh
What does that
god,
even mean?
we only have fourth generation fighters.
But it's the pilot that can do it.
You're not wrong, man.
Cue
It's
the
not
music.
the it's not
Sorry.
the equipment, man. It's the person that's manipulating the equipment. Yeah, it just tells a fun story, man.
Mhm.
It's Tom Cruise back as Pete Mitchell doing Pete Mitchell shit. We get a little bit of tension between him and Goose's son, Rooster. That gets wonderfully sewn up in the third act. We get what I would think is a fairly good love story with him and Jennifer Connelly. Usually in these kind of joints, it's kind of, and there's a chick too. I really like their interactions throughout between this. We get Glenn fucking Powell, Smug Man of the Year award
He's
goes
the
to
new
Glenn
Iceman.
Powell.
It's great.
He is the new Iceman. He is my Casper Cyclops, by the way. I love everything about Glenn Powell, man. Thanks to this movie. It's just a fun thrill ride from beginning to end. The what I call the 2 minute and 15. Yeah, think about that Cyclops. It's a good Cyclops. That 2 minute and 15 second plane ride that Pete Mitchell does
Mhm.
is my number two scene for the year behind the Batman car chase scene. That was an almost like stand up and pump my fist in the theater. Like the audience all broke out into applause when he completes it. Like you just feel exhausted for him. It was almost like the end of the first big stunt in the first Mission Impossible when he's dangling, and when it's
Mhm.
all said and done, you can finally breathe out. That's what that scene is in Top Gun Maverick, man. It's great. If nothing goes according to plan in the movie that they've planned for this whole time, and how they make do with the situations, wonderfully thought out. Great character development, great action, great direction. I love this movie, man. And my
Uh,
4K is missing from this household, and I've turned my entire house upside down. I have no idea where the fuck it
have
is.
you looked with Hobbs and Shaw to see if maybe they're hanging out?
I know where your Hobbs and Shaw is. I
I
picked it up
know
many
it's at your
times to see
house.
if Top
For
Gun is
for
underneath it.
someone who can't stand it, it never comes back.
He never comes back. Yeah, I might have to hold it hostage until I can find Top Gun. Yeah, I love every. I love every
Until I
bit of
find
this
my
movie, man.
movie, you're not getting your shit. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the gun that tops?
I think it is one hell of a last neuron fire of a dying man. I
Yeah,
love the Maverick is dead theory
it's a
because
great theory, man.
uh I watched it with Crystal and I watched it on my own the first time, but award stuff, whatever. It's also just a fun fuck movie with some great sequences. And I wanted something sort of fun to watch, put it on. Crystal watches that opening sequence and she went, "Oh, he's dead. You do not, you don't. Maverick is Maverick. He's a great fucking pilot.
He's still a human
You
being.
can you dead. Human, as you just pointed out. He's human. So because the way that the whole story goes, I fucking love it's all a we're gonna make amends. We get to say goodbye to our best friend. There's a mission that only you can teach, but really only you can do, and da 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 da. Um, I I I I felt it was a little long in the sense that they do the mission, they do all the stuff that they need to do, but then and I get Maverick protecting Rooster. I
Mhm.
get that. But then we've got the argument in the woods as they are in the middle of the fuck mission. They've both broken well no, Rooster broke command
Protocols, yeah.
protocol. And so now they're trying to escape and it's all this sort of buddy comedy-esque like what movie have we now turned into, right?
Hmm.
Um, and there were a few too many talk to me gooses. There were few too many throwbacks. I get why they did it. I get how it was done. I think it's a great film. I think I rated it a 4.5. Um, I think it's a fun fuck movie. I love this. Technically, the cinematography is incredible. The editing's incredible. The stunt work is fantastic. Lady Gaga's song is fantastic. There's there is not a single thing in that movie that makes me go, it is garbage and I would never. It's a fun fuck movie. I enjoy Top Gun, and Maverick might actually be more fun and better in some instances.
Oh yeah, I think
Uh
Maverick is far better than Top
oh
Gun
yeah.
is.
I just
Oh,
I
and
love
Val
the death
Kilmer.
theory.
We didn't even talk about Val Kilmer.
Oh,
He's got
I
his
love how they used him.
great scene for that guy, man. Love it.
Yeah. They used him so well and they incorporated his actual condition so beautifully
Yep.
and not just okay, he's going to type at you. Like Kilmer did some acting. It was not just him like type, type, type. Hmm?
Huh?
Like
Yeah.
he was in the moment. He was emphatic. I fucking miss Kilmer as an actor. I miss
Yeah.
Kilmer as an actor.
Would you like to run through your 10 one more time before we wrap this up? 10 to 1?
Sure. Tony Hawk doc, which is on HBO Max. Pompo the Cinephile, The Kids in the Hall, Comedy Punks, streaming on Amazon. Nope. 32 Sounds, Framing Agnes in select theaters now. Duel on home video, The Blind Man Who Did Not Want to See Titanic. Something in the Dirt on VOD now, and RRR streaming on Netflix.
There you go. Mine is The Northman, Wakanda Forever, Emergency, All Quiet on the Western Front, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, Nope, The Banshees of Inisherin, The Batman, and Top Gun, Maverick.
I have a question. I
The
would like to
Batman is the
see
answer.
I would like to see The Northman Wakanda Forever. Where could I see that?
The Northman, Wakanda Forever?
That's what you said. I was like, I would like to see this movie. I feel as like Okoye could really do some damage with her spear
It's
compared
on
to.
the amazing streaming service that we talked about earlier.
God damn it! Why
You
didn't
got it.
anybody support that?
Support, it's
It's
amazing.
gone now.
That's it for our 2022. This is the final day of the year, man. So we squeeze this out at the very end. If you're hungry, we're listening to this on January 1st. Thank you for sticking with us this far. We will be taking ourselves a little hiatus. We'll be back when the time is right, when the magic is there and the stars are aligned, and the joy is in our hearts and eyes. We will be back
Why
with
does it
another.
sound like the synopsis for like Warlock?
What?
Are we gonna come back and the sky's gonna be bleeding? Like the way you're describing it. A little is this ominous?
This is
Do
not.
we
This
want to
is
come back? I want to come back.
episode
Will
80 is the
Thomas be here?
The Herald. If we come back, man, it's the end times.
Wait,
So
who's
we're gonna
Harold?
love to come back.
Who's Harold? Now
Harold
there's a
H.E.,
Harold.
not
Yeah,
H.A.
oh, oh,
Wrong Harold there. That's it, man. You got any final thoughts as we end this year, sir?
my final thought is this: if you stuck with us this far, hopefully you listened to our respective lists and realized they're ours. They are not yours. You don't have to agree with us. You don't have to agree with our order. You might have a completely different list. Awesome. But if there is any film that we have mentioned that you haven't heard of, that you've heard of but haven't checked out, seek them out.
There
If
you go.
we're
Seek them out.
recommending them, chances are they're going to show you something you haven't considered before. And
Our
that's
chances are, yeah.
always good. That is always good. Always look for stuff on the periphery outside of where you normally look because you never know what kind of amazing adventure it can bring you.
Yeah, it's an amazing thing walking outside your door. Bilbo said that to Frodo. And that is it, man, for
Wait,
2022.
wait. Let's not use Bilbo as the example because do you know what fucking happened to him?
Yeah,
Have
that
you read
motherfucker
that book?
dipped out to the Grey Havens and had himself a fun old time.
Dragons and everything.
Dragons,
Yeah, it worked out
hey,
great for Bilbo.
hey, Bilbo kickstarted a whole course of events that was necessary for things to happen. That's it for the Cinnamon Man. We'll be back next year with some more shit for you. Until then, you all take it easy. Have a safe new year. And we'll see you
Well,
next time.
everybody.
Be well.